I watched a video just recently of a very famous pianist. He's a jazz pianist. His name is Corea. He's very well known. He's fantastic. He's my hero. He's already an elderly guy in his 70s. You know, I'm an elderly guy now too. You know, but I listened to him when I was in my teens, and I absolutely loved his playing. And he just said something recently. He said, "Well, you know, yeah, you can play every scale, you can play every chord, you can, you know, just a book, you can play sheet music and all of these things. But until you develop a relationship with an instrument, until you figure it out how to play it yourself, because there's no one set technique for everyone, right? You play your own way, I play my own way, you play your own way, and everyone else, obviously. You really have to, my professor told me once, he said, you know, it doesn't matter what you play, but most important thing is to play, to spend time with an instrument, and just like with any relationship, you know, you have to spend time and you have to develop it in many ways. Then you will know intricate details, and you will develop your own technique, which is the most important thing. Because at the end, what do we do? Well, you express yourself, and I loved it, by the way. Yeah, I try to express myself my own way in the piano, because it's not about notes, and it's not about keys, it's about what you want to say, right? And it's very important to remember, always, and never forget that. It's not notes, it's not formal in any way, it's like Bach. You know Bach, right? You guys played probably some pieces of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. I will play one for you today too. He said once, music is a language of God. It's divine, you know, it's a pure math, you know, if you would just, here's 440 is A, right? It's right here. That's 440 hertz. It's math, it's physics. But when you put them together, it means something different. And I think it's extremely important to remember that it's not mechanical device, it's not just little things written on a piece of paper. That's music, it's language, it's something, it's a story which you try telling. If you don't have anything in mind, if you play just notes, nobody is going to be moved or touched, or nobody is going to say, oh my God, this piece of music changed my life forever. No one is going to say that. They will just put it in the background and it's going to play, and they will never even know what it is, and why it is, and why it is here. And there's so much beauty. By the way, this church, an interesting thing, this church has 29 acres of land. So you can walk, and it's open to the public, so to speak. You can walk around in the grounds, and after the concert, please, you know, if it's a little chilly outside, but you can, there are paths right at the lower parking lot. There's a path, and it says Faith Walk, I believe it is. And it's all marked, so you're not going to get lost or anything like that. And this path will bring you to a pond. It's a big pond, and there's some chairs you can sit and just think about it and breathe fresh air, you know, for a change. And it's really beautiful over here. And I guess what I'm trying to say, that music is here to remind us how beautiful the world is and how beautiful we are. People are very beautiful. Sometimes they forget, and that's when bad things happen. Or they do bad things. But people are beautiful, and music is here to remind us. So what do you have against percussion instruments? They're good instruments. Here's the tambourine, here's the bongos, congas, and stuff like that. Piano is just like that. Oh, they don't like that at all. But I do. Because people just look at it as and put it in a pedestal, and it's like, it's piano, it's like totally different from everything else. And they just don't remember how piano got developed, right? And it developed from lute, believe it or not. It's like a guitar, it's a gigantic guitar. That's what it is, in many respects. Well, people always like music and love to dance to it and sing, obviously, but lute was so small, you know, in a little room, you know, you can't hear it. But when it's a huge dance hall, right, you know, during Middle Ages, people had, you know, like very wealthy people had palaces. Here's a huge hall, you know. There's a little, you know, lute playing. That nobody is going to hear it, let alone dance to it. People just shuffling their feet against the floor would be louder than this lute, right? So what did they develop? They developed this thing, well, called harpsichord first. So it's a gigantic lute which is much louder, you know. Then you can hear it and you can dance to it. And then, before you know it, somebody developed a sustain pedal. By the way, Mozart's piano didn't have a sustain pedal.
Really?
No.
No.
It was developed when he was in his 20s, I believe. And he played it in Vienna, I believe. And he was just amazed. And he wrote his father a letter saying, I played this amazing instrument, and it has this lever. By the way, it wasn't a pedal. It was a lever which you use your knee to engage. And he was just absolutely amazed. And he thought it's just the greatest thing under the sun. Yeah, well, a lot of changes from lute to this instrument. Also, what I was going to say, look at this music. That's a lot of notes, right? And some people get intimidated by it. It's like, oh, and it's all black notes. Oh my God, you know, there's like 16 notes, 30 seconds. No, I never would be able to master it. Those are just, it's nothing. It's just a way to kind of code what music is about, but music is different. There was a wonderful, one of my favorite trumpet players ever. His name is Miles Davis. He was a jazz musician. He said once that music is not happening with a note. Music is happening between the notes. So when nothing is happening, but that's when music is happening. That's when your imagination will engage and it will. We'll try, Tom and I will try to do something for you. Right on the spot. We didn't rehearse it, and you know, we're like, okay, let's do something. And we just put an hour ago, like, okay, let's choose these notes. And it's fun. Music's supposed to be fun. My professor, Vladimir Nilsson, a legendary professor in Leningrad Conservatory, told me once, you know, I was like 18, 20 years old kid, you know, I came up, well, I actually worked on this wonderful sonata by Beethoven, and I came to his class and I played it, and you know, I was sweating, and it was hard, you know, it's a hard music to play. And he was really, really pleased, and he said, you are wonderful. You did a great job, you know, you learned it, and obviously you just spent hours, and hours and hours and days and weeks, you know. I just want to remind you one thing. There's a reason why what we do is called playing piano, not working hard, sweating bullets, and you know, and killing yourself at the end. No, it's called playing. So it has to be playful and joyful. Otherwise, it's convoluted. Otherwise, everyone is saying, is he going to make it to this passage, to this note on top, or oh, he made it, great. But music is not about that. Everyone can play fast. Yeah, I think that for you, probably you think, oh no, not everyone can play fast. Yes, if you put hours and hours, by the way, you know how much I had to practice every day? I was your age. How old are you? 10. Well, I was 7 when I was enrolled in this school. It's like a Juilliard type of school. You know how much I had to practice every day? No vacations, no Saturdays and Sundays, right? No weekends. Between 4 and 5 hours every day, practicing. After school, you go to school 6 hours, then you come back, and then you start practicing. You practice for 4 hours. Then you do your homework for everything else. You know, that's a lot of hours, obviously. Yeah, I used to call it forced labor music camp. Yeah, gulag.
We'd be happy with half that.
Musical gulag. But, yeah. I didn't like practicing at all, to be honest with you. When I was your age, maybe a little older, I was probably 11, I told my mom, that's it, I'm quitting. I don't want to do it. It's too hard. and I'm missing my friends, you know, I want to play with my friends. I go, soccer, I love to play soccer. And, you know, I can't because they're playing outside and I'm just sitting and playing scales or something as boring as that. Scales are boring, by the way. I'm right with you. But they're necessary evil. You just have to do it, have to do it. I'll tell you later a story about Rachmaninoff and scales. Hanon, you guys do Hanon, right?
Yes, we do.
All this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, he had to do it, you know, in every key. It starts C, E, F, G, and so on, right? He had to do G flat, F, and G flat, and A flat, in every key. And his professor could demand it, say, play to me exercise number 16 in F sharp major. And he just had to do it. He was ready to quit too, by the way. But, so my mom asked me, she said, come again? I said, well, I want to quit. She said, oh dear, you don't have this option. And that was the end of the conversation. You know? And I thought that my human rights, civil rights were violated, really. It's like, well, I mean, that's democracy, it's supposed to be democracy, but then when I was 12, after playing my piano, and not just playing whatever music was written, but trying to figure out some other songs, you know, pop songs, folk songs, whatever. We'll do some jazz today. When you start doing that, you develop just understanding, and all of a sudden, the way I was able to express myself just surpassed any kind of, eliminated any kind of fears of boredom, and oh, I never will be able to play that, or something like that. So I remember my first piano. My parents lived in Germany, and they sent me this 1937 Wolkenhauer. It was an upright. And I remember the huge truck came to our house, and these doors opened, and it was piano strapped in, you know,
Wow.
inside the big semi-truck. Oh. And to me, it was just absolute magic. And these burly guys, you know, who smelled like beer, you know, they brought this piano in our apartment, and I lived, by the way, you guys probably live in nice apartments. I was born in an apartment where it was 11 rooms. It was a big apartment, right? Not a lot of people have apartment with 11 rooms. But 36 people lived there.
Oh my God.
So 36 people, 9 families, 1 bathroom, and 1 kitchen, by the way.
Oh my
With a
God.
lot of burners, but still, you know, 1 kitchen. No privacy of any kind, obviously. So that was probably a torture for neighbors. Now I understand that I had to practice 4 or 5 hours every day at this piano, and everyone heard it, you know, obviously. But everyone kind of rooted for me, and they were thinking, yeah, he's good, you know, he should just go for it and achieve something. So no one complained, ever, which is a miracle in itself, pretty much. Because sometimes I wasn't good. And practicing, well, you know, you just play this 1 bar or 2 bars, you know, for 30 minutes. And everyone is like starting pulling hair, you know, on their heads, and including yourself. But yeah, that was interesting. But this piano was my first love. When my parents bought a Steinway, big Steinway, 7-footer, they had to sell this piano. And I was about 18 years old, but I was sobbing. I was crying like a little kid, because I just couldn't let it go, you know. And I'm 62 years old now, but sometimes I'm thinking, where's my piano?
Wow.
Is it still in St. Petersburg? Or so well, Anita is a wonderful painter, and well, an artist, you know, you are.
Thank you.
Undeniable. I am in total awe, by the way. And I think composing music and playing music, it's like very much like painting. You just do it on the spot. That's all. And instead of spending 2 days on completing the painting, you have only 3 minutes to do so.
Yeah.
But it's a painting nevertheless. It's not and a lot of people are saying story, you know, that you tell the story. Yeah, the story can be behind it, but I feel like any piece of music is more like a painting or a photograph, you know, versus like a movie or a novel. I'll play this song. It has no title. I played it yesterday for a wedding ceremony, by the way, in a carnival. And the person came to me and said, "What was this music? What was this song you played?" I said, "Well, it was one of mine." And he said, "Really? That's beautiful." And that was the best compliment, you know, any musician can have. When someone actually, he didn't have to do it, right? He's just like part of this wedding. But he came and somehow it touched me, made my day, and that's for sure. Okay, it's called F major. It's not a very inspiring title. I don't have a title, but at a certain point I will have a title. I were talking about it. You know, now we wait until artist is done with whatever he's playing, right? And then we applaud. Apparently that came about only in the second half of, like, 19th century. It's a fairly recent invention. But before that, you know, Mozart played his concerto and people would just start applauding right in the middle for whatever passage he played. Yeah, attitudes were very different. But I appreciate, by the way, that you waited until I'm done. Because that's how I grew up, you know, kind of accustomed to that. But it wasn't always this way. Yeah. A friend of mine, her name is Carmen, her and I, we do like record some concerts, online concerts. And her brother lives in this beautiful building downtown Milwaukee, just right on the river. It's really gorgeous. And I was moving equipment into the building, and elevator makes sound, you know, whatever. And just even without thinking, you know, I was thinking, right? I said, it's G. That was this G. You know, like ding, you know, elevator, right? And in my mind, it's G.
And you composed a concerto.
And it was G, yeah. Or stuff like that. World is full of sounds, you know, and you just hear something, you know, and it sticks with you, and then you start doing something, and it's, oh yeah, that was elevator sound, right? Well, you know what that is. Like people who have phones like that, yeah. Right?
Right.
Or this one. Yeah? But you can compose something with it, by the way. Like, for example, let's see. I have to learn it. Don't play this note, you can't play this note. And people think, oh, it's some wrong notes. Well, in classical music, there are some wrong notes because it's written. And if you play a wrong note, you play a wrong note. But in jazz, you know, I play jazz, a lot of jazz, and Tom is a wonderful jazz player. We know that there's no such thing as wrong notes. And Miles Davis, which I already quoted today, said, there's no such thing as wrong notes. There are endless opportunities. So you play a note which you didn't intend to play, but all of a sudden it opens for you something else, you know, and you have to be quick enough to go there. But if you're saying, oh, no, I can't go there because there are rules, there are no rules. In classical music, there are rules. And but when you play your piano, there are no rules. The piano can be touched in so many ways, by the way. And that's you, and it's not about just being soft or loud, It's a character which you give to your note. It's like, you guys have pets, right? Dogs and cats, no? You do? Okay, well, what would happen? Do you have a dog or a cat? A dog. A dog. Well, if you would hit it, what is going to happen? He will be upset at least, right? A dog. I say, what are you doing? And would be hurt. The pastor of this church, his name is Lonnie, he has a dog. His name is Jake. He's the weirdest dog I've ever seen. He's a cross between a big lab, yellow lab, and a greyhound. So he has this humongous head and very skinny, but a long body, and he loves to run. And he's my best friend. And once I remember, I just kind of awkwardly moved and I hit him right in the nose. I didn't mean to do that, but I hit him right in the nose. He didn't talk to me like for a month. I'm like, Jake, and he just would just walk away. Yeah, he was upset. Like, I thought we're friends. Why did you hit me in the nose? So, same with the piano. The way you touch it, that's the way it's going to respond to you. And as I said, it can be touched so many ways. By the way, there's a pedal, a left pedal. And it's an interesting device. It's called soft pedal. It's not just making it soft, quiet. It changes the character of and if you, sometimes you push it all the way in or you push it only halfway in. And it changes the sound. It allows you to just like with a paint, should I put this ultramarine or whatever in, how much of it?
Right.
Yeah, will determine what kind of character your palette is going to have.
Yeah.
Well, same here. Okay, well, but I'm sharing with you, I'm sharing with you my experiences, obviously, with the piano. I can tell you
I was
one
going to
thing.
say, just don't ask him about politics. We'll be here 5 more hours.
Or history.
Or history.
I'm a history buff. I love history.
You will learn everything.
And then and I will go into detail, and you will be rolling your eyes and saying, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do to deserve it?
Musical questions.
Well, whatever questions, because music is, see, a lot of people think that music is something separate from our lives. I can't even imagine my life without music, to be honest with you. I can't. Do you guys remember how you started playing piano?
Yeah.
You do. So you remember times when you were not able to play piano, right?
Yeah.
Good for you, because I don't. I don't remember time when I was not playing piano. I started playing piano when I was 4. And I guess when I was your age, I probably remembered time when I was not playing piano, though I remember a time when piano was delivered.
Okay.
But it's just, it seems like I just kind of played.
Bill started at 4.
4?
She
Good
was
for
4.
you.
She's been playing 3
Yeah.
years.
Earlier? Say it again.
I started
Yeah, good for you. That's a good age, I think it's a good age. My grandma wanted me, I lived with my grandma because my parents lived in Germany at the time. And my grandma really wanted me to play a violin. And I tried to play a violin. Honestly, I was going into panic mode every time I would just move this bow across because it sounded like the cat is dying, or something, The vivisection, It was horrible. I hated it. Now I love violin. I think violin is incredible instrument. But back then I hated it. And every time my grandma was 5 feet tall, kind of a larger woman, and every time she was like trying to sit down, I was right there with the violin, and I would just put violin right there, and she would sit on this violin, and I would be free for 2 weeks, Well, first time she was so upset. She's like, oh. I didn't see, I'm so sorry, she was telling me, I'm so sorry, I didn't see this violin. I'm like, Grandma, just don't worry about that, you know. Things happen, you know. A little
She was
brat.
happy after a
But,
while.
yeah, but when it happened the second time, she caught me. She's like, you little. Yeah, but that's how much I love the violin. I love the piano. I never did such things to piano. But you know, piano shared with me some moments of frustration and anger and stuff like that, because that's what this instrument does. It shares with you everything. If you have nothing to say, then you know whatever you play, it means nothing.
So I have a question. So
Yeah.
when you're composing, or if you're in a happy mood, you compose a happy song, or if you're feeling angry, do you play something that expresses your emotions?
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
like a little sample of feeling something and playing
Well, I'm
something in
in
your
such
style?
comfortable mood right now, so I'm not sure.
You're not
it's
angry.
going to come out. But, well, I guess the answer would be yes and no.
Okay.
Because it's not just, okay, I feel angry, I'm playing piano and I'm playing angry music. There's also a discovery moment. When you start playing piano, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's an interesting way of connecting chords, and it makes me feel a certain way, and it actually deflects your attention from whatever you were angry about, and it takes you somewhere else. But at the end, you figure out how to be angry on the piano and how to be soft on the piano, how to be whimsical, and you know, there's a lot of you know, jokes and stuff like that, just like I played for you. I should probably compose like one-note samba, you know, with this G from Elevator. And now every time I go to this building, I know that it's going to be G, so I push the button and listen to it. What I was going to say, that most important thing also is what you put in your head. That's why I said, you know, this thing doesn't put a lot into your head, some garbage. And you don't want your head to be a garbage can. So you really want to put in your head something beautiful, because then you will come up with something beautiful, you know, whether it's a book or you, as I said, you know, take a walk. I'm not kidding, you know, just take a walk around the property. You will really enjoy it, especially now. And we have wildlife over here. We have coyotes, we have a lot of foxes, we have deer, we have probably 100, well, it seems sometimes that it's 100 of turkeys. You know, ducks, and I had my house is right there, and I had a neighbor for a while. I hadn't seen him for a while. It was a woodchuck. He lived under my house, so he would come out and look around, and then he would run, bolt right at this, across this parking lot, wherever he was going. I don't know, grocery store, whatever it is, grocery store for woodchuck. But it's important to make these discoveries, whatever it is. Find this pond, see this flower. There are a bunch of, by the way, you know what the giant puffballs are? Just take a walk right there and look on the right side. There's a mushroom of this size.
Puffballs, yeah.
It looks like a gigantic soccer ball. Gigantic. I mean, I'm not kidding, you know, just like that. And it's edible, by the way. So I really wanted to listen to different kinds of music. And the United States is very unique this way. You can find any kind of music, Arabic music, Chinese music, by the way. You can see Japanese music, somebody playing koto, you know, or buy this CD. And it's like discovering the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And that enriches you instead of, you know, having this garbage which comes from the phone. You know I sound like an old grumpy man, you know, who's saying, well, all this technology, you know, all these youngsters, they're good for nothing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's a lot more than that. And you can really fill your mind and your soul and your head, you know, your memories with beautiful things. And they will come out. Beautiful things will find a way out in one way or another. It's important to have them, because if you don't have them, then you just invent them, and maybe they're not part of your experience. But they have to be part of your experience. I'll play a song for you. It's called For You. American pop music is a fascinating thing. It's like a melting pot of a lot of things, obviously, but it has its own kind of language. And I composed this song for a totally different occasion, for a commercial, TV commercial. But at the end, I decided to keep it and develop into a song, actually. It's called For You. It's a love song. It's an American pop song, if you will, or at least my rendition of it. preludes and fugues. And one of, well, the first one in the first book, there are two books of them, is actually the C major prelude, which is an iconic piece of music. Everyone knows it, everyone played it. And I really love it. But it's interesting, it's all 16th notes from beginning to the end. It never stops. It's 16th notes, right? And you can just play them and there's going to be nothing. It's going to be, I don't even know, I have to count. That would be very interesting. How many 16th notes, you know? There's the bars, you know, let's say 40 bars. Each bar had 16 notes, you know. They're 40 times 16, right? Well, my math is really off today. Well, 500 notes, right? 16th notes. Or it can be something different. But it all depends on how you play it, you know? How you touch the piano, and then when you don't rush. Because a lot of people rush through that, trying to do it in time, but you can actually play it your own way. Well, I'll play it for you. The Bach book, by the way, he was a busy guy. He was a church musician, just like myself. And he improvised. I improvise every Sunday. You know, right before the service, I just play whatever comes into my mind. And a lot of people coming over and saying, "Hey, what was that you played?" I said, "I have no idea. What do you mean? There was a piece." I said, "Yeah, but I have no idea what it was. I just kind of played it." Yeah, and it's important to do that. You know, just come up with something. It doesn't have to be grand, you know, you don't have to tell yourself, I have to compose something so great. No, you don't have to, you just have to play. Just like my professor said, it's playing piano, so it's gotta be playful.
Yeah.
It's very important to have this time. Okay, I'll play this piece for you. And I'm sorry I haven't memorized it. But again, memorizing music came only in 19th century. Before that, everyone had music right in front of them. And I will do it old-fashioned way. Remind me to tell you a story about old-fashioned, the drink, later on.
Okay.
It's a great story. playing second concerto of Rachmaninoff. You've probably heard it before. So it's a dream, it's a dream. Although I played with an orchestra, I played these concertos. So in my dream, I'm coming on a stage and there's an announcer, like in Russia, they would always announce it. And this announcer says, yeah, I'm sitting at the piano and orchestra is there. Rachmaninoff, concerto number 3 for piano and orchestra. I'm looking at the conductor saying, no, that's number 2. Number 2. He says, no, it's 3. Concerto number 3. So I'm like, what? But I know number 2. So well, have you played number 3? I'm like, yeah, but it was like 20 years ago. It's like, well, maybe can you try it? But we're just talking, and people applauded, and there is a total silence. I was mortified, and I started playing. Oh, never will forget it. And so on. It's about 4 pages of just playing in the unison, and then whole hell just breaks loose, and it's something different, very different. And that's the moment I wake up. Cold sweat, just sweating bullets, and praying, saying, "Oh God, thank you, it was just a dream." Yeah, we have our neurotic, dreams, anxiety dreams. Obviously, it's an anxiety dream.
So you still get nervous before you
Oh, very
perform,
much so.
it's-
Yeah, a lot of people say, "Well, you're 62, you played your entire life for 58 years, you probably don't nervous at all." I'm always nervous. And I have a very good friend of mine who's not in classical world. His name is Daryl Sturmer. He plays with people like Phil Collins, and a Genesis band called Genesis. I played with him for the last 30 years. And he comes on the stage, his hands are shaking.
Wow.
He's a mess. But it can be debilitating, absolutely. But you just have to, there's one trick, I can tell you the trick. Because sometimes we're just afraid that somebody is going to hear our F sharp we played not instead of G. And they're going to say, that's just horrible. This guy is just a hack. Well, don't let any of these things kind of ruin your mood. When you're playing a concert, you playing for yourself, everyone else is just present. That's it. You play for yourself. You don't play for them. They're present. They're there just to they just stop by. But you're playing for yourself. And then when I do this kind of mental trick, then I'm okay. I'm just playing for myself. I'm playing with my friends if I'm playing in a band. And people over there, and sometimes it's like 7,000 of them, they're just there, You don't have to please them in any way. You don't have them to make you like you. No, not at all. You're there to do what you do and have fun, and everything else is kind of bonus, right? It helps me.
Okay.
I remember and that's a true story, but it's hard to believe. It's still hard to believe for me, though it happened with me. When I was about 16 or 17, I had to play, and as I said, our school was very much like Juilliard kind of school. Very tough. I had to play, probably for 30 minutes, like a type of recital. We had to do 4 of those during 1 year. Every year, 4 of them. And we didn't have to play for 45 minutes or for 2 hours. We had to play for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. And I played some sort of etude, which is just a kind of churning or something like that. It's just a simple thing. Well, simple. It's not simple at all, obviously. I was so scared that I started in a different key, and I played entire etude in a different key.
Oh.
And my teacher came to me and said, "What the hell happened?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "How did you manage to play it in a different key?"
That's
I said, "I don't know." Adrenaline, whatever it is, but
Yeah.
things like that happen. And you wish when you start like realizing what is going on, you're
Yeah.
like, please, just split the earth, so I would just vanish. But as I said, I think it's very important to always do it for yourself. Piano is not going to hate you. Whatever instrument you play is not going to hate you. They're here to do music with you. And it's a partner in many ways. And you do that, and people are there, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, well, then they don't. So what? Right? You don't have to please anyone. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, and
Okay,
speaking
I'll
of
play
partners, yeah, okay.
one song of mine.
Okay,
Yeah, speaking of, you said like
I was gonna say,
anger.
speaking
with
of partners, no, we just have to watch the time a little bit.
Okay, see, you have to stop me because I can talk forever.
Don't tell stories.
And
We wanna bring up the bass
I
player,
need
it's
someone who
okay.
will tell me, cut it.
No, I don't wanna do that.
Yeah, I remember I was giving a speech, my friend was getting married and, I was talking about him. And about 25 minutes later, he's like, my kids. Yeah, exactly. But I'll play just one more piece, like I told you about memories, put something good in your head because then you will remember good things. And in St. Petersburg, we have this river called Neva River, and it's very wide, about 3/4 of a mile, right in downtown. And when I was a kid, winters were much more severe. Minus 52, that's minus 52. It's really cold. Believe me, it's very cold. Because I lived through it, barely though, but. So it was frozen solid. The river was frozen solid back then. And on the ice of Neva River, people would take TROIKA rides. 3 horses pulling a sleigh, galloping, and the snow, like wind in your face, and on the sunny, bright, sunny day, you can see all this splendor of St. Petersburg on both banks of the river. And if you haven't been to St. Petersburg, I would strongly recommend to go, because that's just, it's a masterpiece of an architecture. Marvelous place, marvelous. So I have these memories of taking this TROIKA ride. And I was afraid that I would fall out. But I was like holding everything, whatever I was able to grab on. And these horses were just galloping unstoppable. It was just wonderful. Good memory. Has nothing to do with the phone. Phones are not going to give you a memory like that. Okay, I'll play. It's called TROIKA.